A happy New Year to you as well with this 2018 first edition of Otters Hour. And as we do, we'll go back and recap the games for you. Erie last week with 3 games, a home game here starting Wednesday night against the Mississauga Steelheads. The Otters welcoming in the Steelheads for the first time since Game 5 of the Ontario Hockey League Championship Series. Erie won that one 4-3 in overtime. But the Otters were coming off of a big victory over the Kingston Frontenacs just a few days ago on a Sunday. Dan Murphy had his first OHL victory where he stopped 33 of 35 shots. But on Wednesday, it was all Mississauga. And a team in their roster trying to figure out what they were going to do at the trade deadline. Well, they're going to be holding on to some of these guys. They were big players as Mississauga and Erie tied at 1 after one period of play until 7:30 into the second period when Owen Tippett opened things up.
Is McLeod. Tied up on the near side, escapes from 2 Otters, walks in, wrist shot wide. Fox finds it, gives off far side, and Tippett has his second of the night. Set up from behind the goal is Trent Fox. Able to get there first and sends it off with a right-hander at the bottom of the left wing circle. With Murphy trying to get over to the far post in time, unable to. And Owen Tippett regains the lead for the Steelheads, 2-1.
And it was a rough outing for the Otters on the special teams side. They gave up 3 power play goals on the night. And a shorthanded goal, which would come at 16:02 of the second period with recently acquired Matthew Foggett coming in from Ottawa for the 67s. And Mississauga would make it a 4-1 game.
Owen Tippett charges down the right wing side. All the big players making the moves here. Nice move by Tippett. On in front for a backhander. And Foggett has his first as a Steelhead. Shorthanded tally as Owen Tippett sets him up. And it's 4-1 Mississauga.
And Trent Fox, the former Erie Otter, he'll cash in as well. Always finds his way on the score sheet, it seems like, when he plays the Otters. But with just 34 seconds left on the clock in the second period, Trent Fox makes it a 5-1 game.
Otters, however, unable to clear. Haig doesn't shoot, delivers the Foggett. On for Fox, quick try, and he scores. Trent Fox on the bang-bang play out of the far corner makes it 5-1 Mississauga.
But that would kick off into the third period. The Otters, even though they dominated Kingston on Sunday night, New Year's Eve, it was Wednesday in the third period where they rediscovered that game that worked so well against the Frontenacs. And midway through, a milestone marker for the Erie Otters.
As they work up the near side, Sandbrook steps into Trent Fox, knocks him over off his skates. As the Otters try right wing one more time. They'll give off the Mac with a man in front. Here's Sproul, and he scores! Only ever once at Sproul and Sproley. Emmett Sproul in his first OHL goal. And the Otters making a 3-goal game.
That's right, Emmett Sproul, the Otters' first-round pick, 21st overall, just this past April on the board with his first Ontario Hockey League goal. And boy, Emmett Sproul has looked like a completely different player from the first half of the season to the second half of the season. In just a handful of games played since the Otters came back from their Christmas break, Emmett Sproul, a lot of the young guys, they look more confident than I'm sure it goes without saying, compared to opening week when the Otters took up to Peterborough, Kingston, and Ottawa. But after that, and it was just seconds later, 10 seconds later to be exact, Erie made things interesting in this hockey game, drawing within 2, making it 5-3. Christian Gurney,
the Otters work in right wing side. Here's a wrist shot, squirts through and in! Oh, game on, Holmes! Just like that, the Otters make it 5-3. We have a pulse from the Erie Insurance Arena.
And the Otters would outshoot Mississauga 14-3 in the third period. Those 3 goals were the least allowed by the Otters in a period this season, but they just couldn't find that next goal, and Mississauga would prevail here on the Erie Insurance Arena ice. And just the second time that Erie has lost to Mississauga since they switched their name to the Steelheads on home ice. But with that, on to the weekend, and Erie making their last trip through Michigan as they would go and visit the Saginaw Spirit just this past Friday. And after a scoreless first period, it was another milestone tally for the Erie Otters, this one from defenseman Ryan Martin.
And off the stick of Aiden Bruder, but Ryan Martin picks it back up from neutral ice and skates into the zone. Here's Martin, and he scores! The gift of Ryan Martin with his first Ontario Hockey League goal, and the Otters take a 1-0 lead.
And this one, that's a pretty one. If you get to go watch the highlights on the Ontario Hockey League website, or even on the Otters website, we have just the single goal, Ryan Martin in his first OHL tally. And he gloves it down at neutral ice, brings it in himself, makes a move around a defenseman to get himself open in the slot, and then unleashes this snapshot that beats Evan Cormier blocker side. A beautiful play by Ryan Martin to pick up his first, as he gets his first OHL goal in his 73rd game, the second-year man from London, Ontario. But the Otters with a 1-0 lead. They need to add to it in the second period. At 15-20 is Kyle Maximovich for the Otters.
But it's still loose in the circles, and Kyle Maximovich picks it up, lets a backhander go, and he scores! Treat yourself! Kyle Maximovich puts it over the left pad of Cormier, and Erie has a 2-0 lead.
2-0 here. You could hear Tim Wilson joining us on the broadcast. And he was there in Saginaw, also in Flint. Couldn't join us on the radio side, but it's good to have Tim Wilson back with us on the color side, and that was a pretty play by the Erie Otters to set up Kyle Maximovich as Lodnia fed him in front, and then Maximovich took care of the rest with a backhander that beats Evan Cormier on the glove hand side. And Erie is up 2-0, and now you're wondering, can we keep this lead? We did it against the Kingston Frontenacs when we were up 3-0. Let's see if we can do the same thing. But the start of the third period, Erie stumbles, and there's about a 5-minute frame of work that Saginaw took it to the Erie Otters and really caught them in just this little bit of a slump. And a minute in, able to get on the board with Brady Gilmore's first of the night.
Saginaw 2-9 when trailing after 2 periods, and the Otters look out. They cough it up. Here's Mason Kahn. Drop pass. Gilmore scores. We talked about how Erie has protected the puck so well here tonight, but they hand it off right to Mason Kahn. He sets up Gilmore, and it's a 1-goal game from Saginaw with lots of time.
Lots of time left, indeed. That one coming just a minute into the period, and then a minute and 3 seconds later, the beneficiary once again, he has his second of the night.
Within one with his 8th of the year, and he's got the puck now. Sends it ahead for Blake Jenkins, left wing side. They're behind the D again, trying to get it out in front. They tie the game up. It's Gilmore. Brady Gilmore with his second in just a minute and 3 seconds.
So 2-2 all knotted up, and they would complete this with 3 goals in 4 minutes and 35 seconds as Max Grondin would put them ahead 3-2 just like that. Erie was on the downside of this hockey game.
Oh, look out. They caught the puck up. Goldowski on a 2-on-1 in front. And Grondin has given Saginaw a 3-2 lead.
And Tim and I, if you got to listen to the broadcast, Tim and I mentioned and spoke to how the Otters did. I mean, they were dominant in the first couple periods and did great at protecting the puck. There weren't many turnovers, but in that little 5-minute stretch to start the third period, some of the pucks got away from the Otters, and Saginaw was opportunistic and cashed in on those giveaways by the Erie Otters, and it took the lead 3-2, but it brought us down into the final few minutes of this hockey game, and under 2 minutes to go, they would pull their goaltender. Erie Otters with the extra man on, looking for the equalizer, and a little puck luck. Would find a rolling puck onto the tape of Ivan Lodnia on the back door to tie things up.
They'll give out to the blue line. Erie's still in possession. Goaltender off here with 70 seconds to play. Maximovich bounces to the front of there. Rolling puck, and they score! Oh, mama pajama. Ivan Lodnia gets the tip on it along the far side post. Goaltender off, and Erie ties things up at 3.
Lodnia just camped out on the backside. Maximovich at the right wing circle was trying to feed it in front. He had Patrick Fellows who bounced off of him, swept a little bit by Gurney, who was in front of the net, and ended up onto the tape of Ivan Lodnia, and got enough of it to put it short side on Evan Cormier. There was not a whole lot of room left on that far post, and that would send us into overtime. The Otters get a point out of it and looking for the extra one, but at 3:29 of the overtime frame, Erie in the offensive zone. Ivan Lodnia was going to unleash a shot that was blocked by Marcus Crawford, and he starts the play, ends up finishing it here in overtime. Marcus Crawford.
Lodnia, wrist shot blocked on the near side, and that's going to send away the Spirit. Flew on for Koski on the right wing side. And Giroux, he's out of gas. Heads off. They give to Crawford, though. His shot, and he scores. Right to the slot, and Saginaw takes it 4-3.
Overtime game in Michigan, and Saginaw comes away with the extra 2 points. Overtime winner, for Marcus Crawford, who had just recently passed Brandon Sod on the all-time Saginaw Spirit points list. Well, he blocks a shot. This shows you, he's an overage defenseman who blocks the shot, leads by example, and it sends Saginaw off on the counterattack, and he finishes on the setup by Kolkoski, and Saginaw gets the extra point, and the Otters against the American teams and looking to stick with them, and Saginaw's climbing up those standings. Flint right behind the Erie Otters at the 10th spot in the Western Conference. They see them the next day, and I know there's a lot of news on Saturday that happened right before the game, and we will talk about the movement and talk about the some of the bodies that were on their way out, the bodies that are on their way in for the Erie Otters in our next segment. Also hear from Hayden Fowler. But Erie taking on the Flint Firebirds at the Dordt Federal Event Center. Final visit there on the 2017-2018 campaign. And it's the Otters on to tie the game up. They would trail first on a goal from Ethan Keppen at 10-12 of the first period, and it's going to be Erie the next shift. 22 seconds later, led by Jack Duff, tying things at 1.
Otters will play catch-up as Jack Duff has it from center ice. Behind the right wing side. Oh, gets around Smerrick. Here's Duff floating in front, and the Otters tie things up. Zeppelin pour moi. It's Stephane Patry tying things up at 1 with his second OHL goal.
Stephane Patry is, set up right in front, but this all starts with Jack Duff just powering his way into the offensive zone, rumbling down the right wing side, the feed on across, and then put home from the left wing circle by Stephane Patry. No shot for Luke Cavallon on that quick play, and Erie ties things up at 1. Start the second period, and the Otters going to jump out to a lead here. 13 seconds in. Some puck luck once again for the Otters as Max Golod bounces one from behind the net, off a couple of bodies and in.
As Folgers ties it up nicely on the near side, and Lodnia picks it out of the pileup.
Max Golod would give the Otters a 2-1 lead. This is the goal from Joe Mack, actually, that came in after a nice play by the Erie Otters in the neutral zone. Emmett Sproul giving Erie some time to make some personnel changes. And as the fresh bodies come on, Sproul, the lone man out there, keeps this puck tied up and allows for Ivan Lodny to dig it out and then eventually set up Joe Mack. But this all starts with Emmett Sproul.
As Folgers ties it up nicely on the near side, and Lodny picks it out of the pileup. With a man in front, here's Mack. Mack, that'll make you jump. 3-1 Erie as Joe Mack, the birthday boy, buries his 5th of the season, and the Otters are ahead by 2.
So a 3-1 lead for the Erie Otters at that point. Joe Mack on his 18th birthday. A little gift for him with his 5th of the season. And you head into the third period, and there we are again. Just like last night, Erie with the lead, and it will slowly slip away at the Flint Firebirds, starting to ramble on. They outshot the Otters 46-22 on the evening, and with 14 shots on goal in this third frame alone, the comeback would begin first on a power play goal as Maurizio Colella find the tip in on the back door.
Lines up, slapper blocked in front by Henry. Move it on to the near side circle, shove it ahead but not out. It's gloved down by Smerrick. They hold in with the man advantage. Delandria, backdoor play, they tip it in. Colella gets a piece of it, and Flint makes this a 1-goal game, 3-2.
3-2, the Otters, he still got the 1-goal lead, but a bad change by Erie, and you'll hear it on the call here, would lead to a break for Jack Wismer, the 17-year-old from Stony Creek, Ontario, a second-round pick back in 2016 for the Firebirds. And Wismer would make no mistake, give it a complete open lane, nearly a 2-on-0 for the Flint Firebirds on this play when the Otters could not complete a shift change in the neutral zone effectively.
Off the stick of Smerrick, and look out. A jailbreak, bad play by the Otters as they go to the back end. As Wismer, the breakaway goal. And we're tied at 3.
So all tied at 3, no overtime. And I tell you what, if you go and look at the game sheet in the overtime, Erie took a penalty. They were outchanced on the special team side, 6-2. Erie just 2 power play opportunities, and they have not had many power play opportunities at all since the end of the first half of the season. A lot of 1, 2, and even 0 power play opportunities for the Otters to start the second half of the season. But with this, a power play would roll over from the final seconds of that second period or third period heading into overtime, and a long power play with 4-on-3 in overtime. And Erie's power penalty kill was fantastic, laying out the body. They did a great job to make sure that Flint couldn't get much down low. They really didn't have much time at all. And the Otters also give some key saves from Dan Murphy, who on the night stopped 43 of 46 on the night. Although it would send it into a shootout, and Dan Murphy would have his first shootout action in the Ontario Hockey League. First shooter for Flint would score. That was Colella. Erie coming down to their final shooter in the round of 3. Max Golan would fill the back of the net for the Erie Otters. A nifty move onto the backhand to tie up the shootout at 1. He's 2 for 2 in his career now. Then head into the 5th round. Erie couldn't happen as their next 2 shooters, Garrett Podubny, Joe Mack, unable to capitalize. No goal for Ty Delanger, which brought us to Nicholas Mattinen, the now former Flint Firebird, and former London Knight, and Mattinen with the game on his stick.
Nicholas Mattinen, the former London Knight, acquired in the offseason. Here he comes. Picks it up on the right wing side. Walks in, backhander, and he scores. That'll end it. In the 5th round of the shootout, Nicholas Mattinen puts it home on the back end, and the Otters fall in a shootout 4-3 with the Firebirds completing the comeback.
And another game slipping out of the hands of the Erie Otters, and that was fresh off of the trades of Cade Robinson and Taylor Radish and Jordan Sambrook. So it was interesting to see how the Otters would respond coming out of that. But you get 2 points, 2 out of 4. I mean, you take it, and you're trying to make your way into the playoff conversation where you're only just a few points out and still just a few points behind the Owen Sound Attack for a playoff spot, 6 points to be exact. So you're right there in the conversation, and Erie will get some reinforcements on the way. And we're going to talk about those here in the next segment. We're also going to catch up with Dave Brown, the Erie Otters general manager. He'll give us a State of the Otters address coming up. And we'll take your questions as well. If you want to find myself or the Erie Otters on Twitter, just reply to my tweet about the show here today. It's also on Facebook on the Erie Otters Facebook page. That's facebook.com/@Erie Otters Hockey, or on Twitter, Aaron_Cooney. So you can catch us there. If you want to get a question in for Dave Brown, you'll have that opportunity coming up here a little bit later on in the show. But when we come back, we're going to hear from Hayden Fowler, newest of the Erie Otter crew, making his way in from the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, the 19th overall selection in 2017. We'll catch up with him next. You're listening to Otters Hour, right here on your home where Otters hockey, CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
Great meeting, guys.
Yes, thanks for your time. Excuse me, everyone.
Mary?
In my hand is $3 million Mega Multiplier, the new game from the Pennsylvania Lottery, with top prizes of $3 million. $3 million! Did you win? I don't know. I'm so excited about it. This could be a big winner. Just wanted to share.
Sometimes the moments before you scratch are as exciting as the moments you do. Keep on scratching. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
An Erie landmark since 1953, Nunzi's Place serves generous portions of great food at reasonable prices. Family owned for almost 60 years, Nunzi's prepares the finest Italian cuisine in Erie. Come see why the Erie Times-News said Nunzi's is known for food that tastes good. Nunzi's Place, located at 2330 East 38th Street near the Bayfront Connector. To call for reservations or place an order for takeout, call 825-2940. Nunzi's, known for Italian food that tastes good since 1953.
The 2017 Ontario Hockey League champion Erie Otters are back, and you can catch all the action at the Erie Insurance Arena. The Otters are home Saturday, January 13th against the Niagara Ice Dogs, and Sunday, January 14th against the Flint Firebirds. Tickets are available at the Erie Insurance Arena box office, online at erieevents.com, or by calling 814-452-4857. And be sure to take advantage of the Erie News Now Super Saver sections with $12 tickets for all ages.
The Titan truck. It's built in America, and it has America's best truck warranty. 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. So if you want a powerful, full-size truck covered for the long haul, or just for the sheer fun of driving it, stop in to see the Nissan Titan. Now, $7,000 off its MSRP or 0% financing for 72 months. And in northwestern Pennsylvania, it's only at Interstate Nissan.
2 or more available at this price. VIN HN 537816 or with approved Tier 1 NMAC credit.
Come to Arthur F. Schultz, 26th and Cascade for ultimate factory markdowns featuring the year's lowest furniture, mattress, and appliance prices. Plus, pay no interest for 12 full months and receive absolutely free delivery. Find stylish sofas, comfortable lazy boy recliners, dining rooms, and dinettes at the year's lowest prices. Today and tomorrow, get our biggest markdowns ever on America's best home furnishings and appliance brands, like savings up to 58% and more on Simmons Beauty Rest and Sealy Fosterpedic. Special savings on Tempur-Pedic and Stearns & Foster mattresses. Plus, dramatic markdowns on all master and youth bedrooms. Arthur F. Schultz has Erie's largest selection of appliances like GE Monogram, Maytag, and Amana. And they're all on sale. Ultimate factory markdowns. No interest for 12 full months and absolutely free delivery today and tomorrow. Only at Arthur F. Schultz, 939 West 26th and Cascade in the heart of Erie. Hurry!
Are you starting a new business in Erie and looking for quality printing that won't break your budget? Don't search the internet. Keep it local and think of us first. Hi, I'm Alice D. George, owner of Presque Isle Printing. Whether you're looking for business cards, flyers, or handouts for an upcoming event, 2- or 3-part invoices, we got you covered. Don't have time to design your own artwork? No problem. We have 3 full-time graphic designers ready to help you look great in print. Give us a call today, 833-9020. Visit us at 4318 West Ridge Road or PresqueIslePrinting.com.
Winter. It's here. How's your furnace holding up? Now's the best time to call on the George Winston Company to give it a thorough check and get it tuned up for the cold winter ahead. Or perhaps consider a new energy-efficient natural gas furnace. Natural gas is your most energy-efficient choice. You could see a very nice reduction in your heating bill, and you'll have the peace of mind knowing that the installation was done right with the George Winston Company, the plumbers on Plum Street. Call 454-0752. 454-0752. PA contractor number 061409.
You're listening to the Otters Hour on CBS Sports Radio, 96.3 and 1260.
Welcome back here into the Otters Hour. I'm your host, Aaron Cooney, voice of the Otters. And I know recapping the week that was for Erie, just the previous segment, and a little bit later on we'll have General Manager Dave Brown of the Erie Otters on the show to join us and kind of give us the state of the Otters, where they're at right now and where they're going to go here into the future. And I know it had been a tough time to pull the trigger on some of these deals, and we'll recap it for you as the OHL trade deadline wrapped up this afternoon about 3.5 hours ago. A 12 p.m. deadline that has gone past, and the Otters did all their stuff a little bit early. A couple moves yesterday before the OA deadline as well, but let's go ahead and recap it for you because it kind of got started. You knew the Otters had one of the biggest fish out there with Taylor Radish a part of the team, and contenders would be lining up, champing at the bit to try to acquire a guy like Taylor Radish and get the services of a 100-point man last year, a goal scorer, proven goal scorer in this league. The Otters, of course, they're returning top point getter, but you had to make those moves, and it started on Saturday with the move of Cade Robinson to Owen Sound. This was just a classic hockey trade. You heard it from Dave Brown, too, that a player for player, which doesn't happen often in the Ontario Hockey League. The Otters getting a guy in Luke Beamish, a defenseman, a 17-year-old that the Otters liked in his draft year, and we know the last couple of seasons Erie hasn't had many draft picks, so you kind of miss out on a player that was picked in the third round like that. And going the other way, Cade Robinson all straight up, and Cade Robinson gets a chance to kind of reset his career into a team and play a bigger role with the Owen Sound attack as the Erie Otters are trying to get, obviously get younger. And with the roster now, one of the younger teams in the league's average age 17.6 for the Otters. A few teams lower than Windsor, I think, came in at 16.7, their average age now, once all their moves are done, because they had a pretty big sale as well for the Memorial Cup champions, the reigning Memorial Cup champions. So that was kind of the first deal for the Erie Otters, just a player-for-player swap. And then the other shoe dropped a couple hours after the Cade Robinson deal, with Erie sending Taylor Radish, Jordan Sambrook to Sault Ste. Marie, and in return you get Hayden Fowler, the 19th overall pick by the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in this past draft in April in the priority selection, and also with that 9 draft picks coming for the Erie Otters. The cupboards were a little bare for Erie after the last 4 seasons and what they've been able to achieve records, and even with a championship now last season, but you had to get some of those picks back. Erie would have been without a second-round pick for years, and now, starting in 2019, you got 5 straight years of second-round picks coming their way. Among that, also 2 more third-round picks and 2 sixth-round picks, part of that deal. And Hayden Fowler, a first-round pick. You come in, this is a guy that could score goals. When he came out of the Greater Kingston Frontenacs minor midget team, to be taken 19th overall. And when you look at him, this kid's pretty thick too, at 5'10", a little over 170 pounds. That was kind of my first impression of him, was like, hey, look at the lower body on this kid, the legs. I mean, this kid is pretty thick for 16 years old and speaks pretty well too. We caught up with him earlier in his first media appearance. That was just yesterday when he got to speak to the media, and we're going to hear from Hayden Fowler next, the newest member of the Erie Otters.
Well, Hayden, just first off, your initial thoughts being here in Erie and playing with the Erie Otters.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for me. I think I have an opportunity to contribute more to the team, maybe be a little bit more united in the Sioux, because they're such an old group, great talented group of guys. So, yeah, just more of an opportunity here, I think.
What was that experience like for you? Because people look at the numbers, and we know they're deceiving because you weren't getting as much of an opportunity there as you will here. What do you think you can bring to this team moving forward now that you're going to get a greater opportunity? Yeah, I think I can bring a little bit more scoring, some, good playmaking, stuff like that. Like I said, there's a great group of guys in the Sioux, so coming here, I think that I'll have a better chance to do that. Obviously, there was a lot of talk surrounding this move, and as much as people talked about Taylor Radish or Jordan Sambrook, your name was certainly tossed in there quite a bit as well. Just your thoughts going through that process as a 16-year-old in your first year in the O and having to deal with all the speculation and ultimately the move. Yeah, I heard about it a little bit, and then just coming here with a positive mindset and trying to do my absolute best to help this team win. For you, how did you block it all out? I just try to keep my mind focused on the task, and that is just playing hockey and having fun, trying to do my absolute best here. So, looking back on it, what was that experience like for you? Because it might be something that comes up down the road again. You never know. So, what was it like for you to learn from that? Yeah, I think it was just to keep my mind, focused and trying to do what I can to block that out and just play hockey. What did you learn from playing in the Sioux? Obviously, a team that's going for, contending for an OHL championship. What did you learn most that you could bring here? Yeah, it was awesome playing there and winning quite a bit. So hopefully, I can bring some of the winning here. Well, talk about for you just personally. What fans always like to make the connection with the Erie Otters. Just talk about kind of young man you are, what type of personality you bring to the mix, and so forth. Yeah, I'm a happy guy. I like to smile, I like to laugh, and the guys have been great here, so it's been good so far. What are some of the things you enjoy doing besides playing hockey, of course? I play baseball, I golf too. Yeah. Was that something you played a lot growing up, both those sports? Or? Yeah, I played baseball up till last year, and then I stopped playing and focused on hockey. So what made you choose hockey over baseball? I'm not sure, I just liked hockey more, so yeah. So what kind of handicap are we talking about in golf? Nothing too low. So now moving forward, getting an opportunity to make your debut on Thursday. What's that going to be like? And then getting your opportunity to play in your first home game this weekend. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Probably a lot like the home opener in the Sioux. Kind of just getting touches on the ice and stuff. So I think it should be good. How do you handle the pressure? I mean, obviously, you were the player they wanted and were willing to part ways with Taylor Radish and Jordan Sambrook in order to get you. Just talk about the pressure that comes with that. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of pressure, but try not to think about that much and just try to do my best.
So that's Hayden Fowler, the newest member here of the Erie Otters, and that gives you another piece, another core. This is a forward. You expect him to grow a little bit too, and a guy that can step right in. So now you get the two of the last 3 picks of the 2017 OHL priority selection between him, Fowler, and Emmett Sproul. And that's kind of the start of your young squad. And you know what? Just looking the remainder of the trades, because the Otters had a couple more that happened here just yesterday and right before the overage trade deadline. The Otters sending a 5th-round pick to Sudbury to bring in Troy Lajeunesse. Lajeunesse, an overager, was playing with the Sudbury Wolves but his previous couple of seasons, he was with the Sarnia Sting, signed as a free agent with the Sting in 2014, and is one of those guys, an energy guy, hard to play against in the, try to defend against in the zone, in the offensive zone, a good penalty killer as well, and he brings a lot of energy and jump and jam, if you will, that the Otters will be a good addition to the squad and the way this team is kind of built. 224 games played in his OHL career over the last 4 seasons, 51 goals, 132 points. He stays out of the penalty box. It's a good addition for the Erie Otters going forward. Now, I know you look at, so you gave up a 5th-round pick in 2020. I'm sure that comes back your way here in the next couple of years. But right now, you can't just start selling. This is really a message to the team that, we're not giving up on the season. You don't just call it quits midway through because you traded away a couple of guys at the deadline. This is a team that's still going to come out. They're going to be hard to play against, and they're going to compete night in, night out. And part of this is all about molding this team into the style and what the coaching staff can get their hands on. I know the last couple of years you had Chris Knobloch and a lot of talent that's already kind of amassed, and you got to work with that. But this year, this is the first time that Chris Hartsburg is going to have kind of his group. And now that you lost some of the pieces from last year and some of the guys that were hanging around, this is a chance for Hartsburg to mold it into what's going to be the Erie Otters in the next couple of years. So it's kind of hard to gauge any performance here in this first time. It's a learning process, as they said. And it's going to be a process as the Otters continue to grow and to become, give them 2-3 years, and you're right back in the mix of things. The last move the Otters made, a burn to the Kingston Frontenac in exchange for a 6th pick and a 13th round pick. Kingston obviously going for it. That fills in a little bit of depth D on their role. Mitch Byrne playing in that third pairing for the Erie Otters pretty much all postseason last year, paired with Owen Hedrick. Worked out pretty well, and he's going to see probably a similar role with Kingston and a team that's really going for it. So to recap for the Erie Otters, kind of restocking the shelves, you add in Hayden Fowler from Sault Ste. Marie, Luke Beamish from Owen Sound, and then 12 picks coming back for the Erie Otters, 14 with some conditionals that are in there. This goes back even to the TJ Fergus trade. But Erie adds in 5 second-round picks. Remember, they didn't have any second-round picks for nearly a decade. Also add in 2/3, 3 6, and a 13th. Those 2 of those thirds and a 6th-round pick, good for this year. So the Otters are a team that's you got to start now building your talent pool once again. You got some early picks as well to exercise in 2018 and the priority selection coming up in April. So the Otters, tough to say goodbye to somebody like Taylor Radish, Jordan Sambrook, Cade Robbins, Mitch Byrne, all these guys. We know what they did and their accomplishments here with Erie. And winning an OHL championship, and you can't forget Troy Timpano as well. So because you had to get down to 3 overage players, and in those 3 overage spots, Troy's been out with a undisclosed injury and out indefinitely. He's recovering, but the Otters, you needed to add a little bit. You kind of wanted to roll with your 2 young goaltenders, and Troy Lajeunesse was a guy that the Otters like to kind of add to the group right now. And that hard work, it's lead by example kind of way that you're going to see from Troy Lajeunesse on the ice. And that's what the Otters wanted to add to the group, and it would help them going forward. That allows Troy Timpano to stay healthy. There's no rush to push back and everything, and we also wish him the best of luck in that recovery and hoping to see whether it's a pro contract or even if it's university, playing for some scholarship that could be coming his way. So for the Otters organization, I know they thank the sacrifice and what these couple of guys have put in over the last couple of seasons for the team. But Cade Robinson, Jordan Sambrook, Taylor Radish, and Mitchell Byrne on their way, and best of luck to them as they will be competing for another chance at an OHL championship, another chance at a MasterCard Memorial Cup as well. Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, they're a team that is stacked going forward. We're going to step away for one more break, and when we come back, Dave Brown, Erie Otters General Manager, will join us next here on Otters Hour Live. We'll get the State of the Otters address. We'll take some of your questions. I know we had a couple come through, and that's all coming up on the other end of this break. You're listening to the Erie Otters Radio Network on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
We're talking to Superstore Joe at Off-Road Express, and Joe, you were telling me what company created the ATV.
Like I said, in 1983, Suzuki introduced the world's first ATV, and they never look back.
That's more than 3 decades of reliable, tough products.
Hey, whether you're working hard or you have some time to get out and play, the Suzuki King Quad can do it all.
Sounds like a King Quad could help you rule the woods during hunting season.
And I'm about to make it real easy because you can get on a new fuel-injected Suzuki King Quad 400 4x4 automatic for only $43.99.
Joe, didn't they cost more than that in 1983?
Or a new Suzuki King Quad 750 with an MSRP of $8,500 for only $56.99.
Wow, put my name on one.
Go kooky for Suzuki, just 5 miles south of I-90 on Route 8 in Erie, or 2 miles south of I-90 on Peachtree, or offroaderie.com.
As a small business owner, you're always on the go. So how can you make sure you never miss a customer's call? Grasshopper. That's right. With Grasshopper, you get all of the features of a business phone system that's affordable and incredibly easy to use directly on your cell phone. You get a toll-free or vanity phone number that's memorable and professional. Customers are forwarded to your phone and connected to your team. And you can work from anywhere using Wi-Fi calling or our desktop app. And with our mobile app, your outgoing calls and texts show up as your professional phone number. Voicemails are transcribed and sent to your email, so you can determine their importance at a glance. So whether you're on the go or working from home and need to keep business calls separate, or you simply want a professional tone, Grasshopper makes it happen. Set up your account in just minutes. There are no long-term contracts and support is 24/7. Get your calls, stay connected, thrive. Now get $20 off your first month when you visit grasshopper.com/radio. Grasshopper.com/radio.
Lissa was diagnosed with breast cancer at Allegheny Health Network when she was only 27.
One of my nurses dropped me off at my door, sent me a text and said, "You don't need to come outside. There's food for you and your husband outside." And it was like, who does that? Like, that is beyond the level of care that is even required. Anytime I would have like a moment of panic or something wasn't going right, I'd call and they would call me back right away. If they didn't answer right away, it was always my nurse that I would talk to, and she would get an answer for me immediately.
Since 2016, Lissa is cancer-free. Caring for all of her life is living proof. Erie's top-rated hospital for women's health is St. Vincent of Allegheny Health Network. Visit ahn.org/allofherlife to learn more or schedule an appointment. Claim based on Quantro's 2017 CareCheck's National Quality Rating Database.
At Tim Hortons, we've got something new. Because we know change is exciting. Change is good. Change is delicious. Try our new hash brown sticks. Golden and crispy, they're perfect for dipping and sharing. Pair them with our new Western Omelet Breakfast Sandwich. Get both for just $3.49. Only at Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants for a limited time. Offer valid with biscuit, English muffin, and classic bagel breakfast sandwiches with protein, Western omelet, and cheese.
Hi, this is Ed Rendell. I've got to admit that I was sort of a dinosaur when it came to using social media. But my son found Epic Web Studios, and we began working with them. And they've done an incredible job with us. They've significantly increased our followers on Twitter and Facebook. They make sure that we put up the right things. They capture every good thing that I've said or done on TV and get it out real quickly. And it's been just a revelation to me, and they've been tremendous to work with.
Don't be a dinosaur. Call or text Epic Web Studios at 814-746-6987. The Sheraton and Courtyard Erie Bayfront Hotels are proud sponsors of the Erie Otters. Join them for their pregame and postgame celebration at the award-winning Bayfront Grill or the brand-new Shoreline Grill, located just minutes away from all the action. Let them help you fuel up for the high-energy game with their extensive menus and craft brew selections. You oughter be dining with the best. The Sheraton Erie Bayfront Grill and Courtyard by Marriott.
Looking for the best health plan through your employer? Well, let's look at the proof. With Highmark, you're covered wherever and whenever at 93% of doctors across the country and in 190 countries across the world. So whether you're going to Minneapolis or Milan, your coverage goes too. Choose the plan with Living Proof. Choose Highmark, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Visit ChooseLivingProof.com. Network coverage varies by plan. Check your member materials for details.
You're listening to the Otters Hour on CBS Sports Radio, 96.3 and 1260.
Welcome back here inside the Erie Insurance Arena and into another edition of Otters Hour, our first edition here of 2018. I'm your host, Aaron Cooney, and today we're joined live by Erie Otters General Manager Dave Brown. Kind of give us the state of the Erie Otters. We'll kind of ask him here about some of the trades. But, Dave, thanks for taking the time to join us, and I'm sure you're glad this is kind of over with as well. I'm sure the phone's kind of calmed down a bit for you as well.
The phone stopped ringing, and I'm glad it's over.
A little better than last year going around that way. But I know the Otters, you part with guys like Taylor Radish, Jordan Sambrook, guys, important pieces from last year's championship team. And my first question is just, how difficult is that to pull the trigger on these guys that not only you drafted, you brought in, and then this team starting to move on in a different direction, and those guys could bring in some pieces that'll help you in this different direction.
Well, it's always difficult because the guys they're not professionals. They're still young men, and they have a tough time adjusting and understanding to the whole, process. But I think, at the end of the day, we looked at it organizationally and what's best for those guys, and obviously bringing in a couple young players are the key component to this, to the movement over the last few days. You can bring a lot of draft picks in and whatnot, but those draft picks are hard to become hockey players. There's a long process into making those guys hockey players and guys that can contribute. But one thing we can tell you is that Hayden Fowler and Luke Beamish, they can contribute right away, as well as the thought process behind bringing Troy Lejeunesse in and keeping us competitive within our group, and teaching our young guys that the importance of working hard every day.
I do want to kind of go through each deal with only a couple of them for them here for the Otters in the last couple of days and under a week. But the first one's interesting because you don't see very many player-for-player swaps. So Cade Robinson for Luke Beamish, and I know you were quoted saying that Luke Beamish is a guy that you liked in his draft year. Otters didn't have third-round picks then as he went to Owen Sound, but straight up for Cade Robinson. What about Luke Beamish? Why was he the target and the guy that you wanted to bring in here and join this team?
Well, you know what? I think it was I called it an old-fashioned hockey trade. It was 1-for-1. He called me, Dale DeGray called me with regards to Cade Robinson, and I immediately I looked at the coaches and I said, "What do you think?" They said, "Well, is there somebody you really like?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Luke Beamish." And we sent a text back, and 5 minutes later got a phone call and said, "You know what? We think this can work." So, Luke's a very mobile defender that has the ability to carry the play and advance pucks to our forwards. And I think anytime there's a process that goes through in making sure that those guys feel comfortable. But, we've had a lot of success here in the past with guys, puck movers, Darren Radish, Travis Dermott, those types of players. And I'm not saying Luke's going to be one of those guys, but he definitely shares some attributes.
Taylor Radish, Jordan Sambrook go to Sault Ste. Marie for Hayden Fowler and 9 picks. And you mentioned the picks, and you got to hit and you got to develop these guys. But a kid like Hayden Fowler, how important was it to have a player in a mix like that, in a 16-year-old come in, another first-round pick for the past OHL priority selection?
Well, I think in my opinion, we scouted some, both Hamilton and a couple other teams, Hamilton, Sault Ste. Marie, Sarnia, and those sorts of things. And in our opinion, Hayden was the best available 2001. That with the clubs that had interest in Taylor and Jordan Sambrook. So he was the guy that we'd kind of put on top of our list, and he's a guy that is very aggressive. He skates well. He plays his hard. He plays I hate to use the term 200-foot game because I think it's overused, but he plays hard in all 3 zones, and that was something that's important to us. We want to be a team that carries pace as opposed to follows, pace.
Troy Lejeunesse for a 5th-round pick, and you bring in an overager. You got to part ways with Troy Timpano, but Troy Lejeunesse coming over from Sudbury. We've seen him a lot in the last couple of years with some playoff rounds, and when he was with the Sarnia Sting, and was sent to Sudbury during right before the season started. But for Troy Lejeunesse to come to Erie and take up their OA spot, what's that mean? And what can he teach them, maybe some of this group, and what's going to be towards the future?
Well, I think one of the things that anybody who's watched Troy Lajeunesse play, they realize that we're dealing with a guy who's pretty consistent in his work ethic and in his contributions to his team. And I think that it's important for us to learn, or for our younger guys to learn, and we do have a young group, that consistency is important, and something we've been preaching as a staff. And I know a lot of times there's games where we're up a goal or up a couple goals, and we see that diminish. And it's not that work ethic has changed, but sometimes you let up a little bit. And I think a guy like Troy Lajeunesse, if anybody's watched whether it be the Sarnia Sting or Sudbury in their one visit to Erie this year, he arguably is always one of his team's hardest workers, and I think that's something we wanted to add.
Mitch Byrne to Kingston for a couple of picks. And I know you had said yesterday before this deal got done that there was considerable interest in Mitch Byrne, but to Kingston to get a couple of picks, the move like that, is there a reason to move a veteran defenseman, a guy that helped out the championship team, and why Kingston?
Yeah, Mitch Byrne was out of our lineup for a little bit earlier in the season, and we looked at how our team was at that point and how we kind of progressed through the time that he was away from the team. And we didn't mind our showings during those times, and we thought it was important to get guys like Curtis Henry and Aiden Timmermans some valuable development time moving forward. And I thought when they came in for Mitch Byrne, it was something that I didn't feel as though we took a step back, and there was an opportunity for Mitch Byrne to get close to home. His family's since relocated to Peterborough, and I thought that it'd be a good gesture to help him. And at the same time, we got a 6th round pick this year, and it was kind of the best of both worlds.
So now that it's deadlines come past here earlier this afternoon, the Erie Otters, the roster's kind of set. How important was it? And I remember I asked this to Chris as well. Chris Hartsburg, Otters head coach, back on Saturday, right after the news dropped with Taylor Raddysh, Jordan Sambrook, and Cade Robinson going. But how important is it here for this team and the franchise to kind of move past last year, and success doesn't maintain in the league for so long, and 4 years with 50 straight wins is quite an accomplishment. But to move to this next era and allow Chris Hartsburg to have his mold on a team going forward with some of the movement of some of these guys from the previous years going ahead and moving on.
Well, I think it's important anytime that you look at a team, and I think it's hard for players that were with us last year to maybe understand what their roles are and how they can carve out a spot that's meaningful and important on our team. It's very hard to replace players like Dylan Strome and Alex DeBrincat, Raddysh. Whether it be Sorelli or Warren Fogle, we've been blessed to have a ton of very good players with us, and no doubt, good players make good coaches, as make good management and whatnot. But I think it's been we've had some growing pains this year with regards to where exactly that player fits in, and unfortunately, one of the things is, as good as a year we had, there were some players that maybe didn't play a lot. And, we're trying to expedite the process with them through playing, and we're going through some obvious growing pains. And I like where we are. I like our situation in terms of goaltending, and I like how well the boys have both Anad and Dan have played since the departure of Troy Timpano. So I like that direction. I also with the defense now, they're going to get in more regularly, and I think it's going to be important. But the message I sent to that we talked about as a staff was, hey, we can't just measure success based on wins this year. There's a process. Let's make sure that we're working hard, and obviously by playing 19 one-goal games, we're in a lot of games, but we just don't quite have the polish and the touch that we've had in the past.
So it's all part of development. It's part of this process that coaching staff has reminded the media and myself as well going forward. But do you have a time frame of where you want this team to be and going forward? Where do you expect them to be right up there competing once again in the top spots in the Western Conference?
Well, I think the competitive nature of all the staff on is that we want to be there today.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to be realistic, and I continue to remind the coaches that it's hard. I mean, we're looking at guys that have never played in any of these roles to be the guy and step up and do it. And I know sometimes in the NHL, I mean, they're lucky. You get guys on long-term contracts. You don't have to worry about what happens to that guy for 7-8 years. You have him, and you go to work on the next piece. Here, it's constant turnover, and we're going to have a turnover again, at the end of this year, where we lose some bodies and we move some players out. But we want to remain one of the perennial powers in the Ontario Hockey League. So getting there and doing whatever we have to do, we're going to look to make some changes over the off season and see how quickly we can get back. But I really like our 2000 group. I would think when those guys are 19 years of age, we're going to be in pretty good shape.
I want to let you go here. Last one for you, and it's a kind of a question about leadership. But Mike Vitron wanted to ask you. He sent in a tweet and wanted to know: have you seen anybody that's worthy of the lunch captaincy over in the front office side that can pick up that seat that's been vacant for the last couple of years?
It's real hard. The lunch captain is something that's so difficult to replace. I don't think we've ever had anybody since good Mike Vitron in there. He left a lasting legacy in Erie with that, and it's difficult. I mean, he's right up there in the same category as Connor McDavid, Wayne Gretzky, and Mario Lemieux. I mean, he's legendary. I don't think anybody can fill that.
That's why we've seen the C still sitting there in the front office, and nobody could pick up that lunch captaincy since he left. But
yep, I mean, his stomach was always empty, no matter how much we put in it.
It's lunchies all around for everybody. This Dave Brown, the Erie Otters general manager. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for helping us out here on Otters Hour.
Thanks.
That's Dave Brown. We get set for a break. When we come back, we'll recap the rest of the OHL trades. Coming up next, you're listening to Otters Hour right here on the Erie Otters Radio Network on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
As more and more companies offer their employees a choice of health plans, more and more people are deciding UPMC Health Plan is the best choice. With affordable in-network access to UPMC and other doctors and hospitals in your community, plus award-winning customer service, it's no wonder UPMC Health Plan is the fastest-growing health plan in the region. So when your employer gives you a choice this year, make the choice more and more people are making. Choose the best. Choose UPMC Health Plan.
Interstate Mitsubishi is now selling the Outlander Sport for its lowest price ever, $15,988. That's almost $5,000 less than its original MSRP of $21,890. For just $15,988, you can own an Outlander Sport with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, 7 airbags, and 18-inch alloy wheels. This is the best deal on a brand new CUV you'll find anywhere, and it's only at Interstate Mitsubishi, 1/2 mile south of the Mill Creek Mall on Route 99.
Great meeting, guys.
Yes, thanks for your time. Excuse me, everyone.
Mary?
In my hand is $3 million Mega Multiplier, the new game from the Pennsylvania Lottery, with top prizes of $3 million. $3 million! Did you win? I don't know. I'm so excited about it. This could be a big winner. Just wanted to share.
Sometimes the moments before you scratch are as exciting as the moments you do. Keep on scratching. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
An inside look at the OHL in Erie. You're listening to the Otters Hour on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
5-minute break. Welcome back here into the Erie Insurance Arena. I'm Aaron Cooney. We're wrapping things up here on Otters Hour in this segment. So there's a great interview with Dave Brown and really giving you the inside scoop on kind of what goes down with some of these moves. And you're right. It's the success the Otters have had the last 4 years, 50-win seasons. It's never been done before in the entire Canadian Hockey League. There was going to be some turnover, and when you lose such a older group and veteran group like the Otters had last year, it was going to be tough to fill in those holes quickly like this and get right back into the prominence that you are. So it's going to be part of a process, and the kind of start of it in creating a new group, a new core is kind of where Erie's at. And you're going to see it with some of these guys, your 2000s, your 2001s. Erie, one of the younger teams now in the Ontario Hockey League, and we will see them grow here over the next couple of years and try to get right back into the tops of the Ontario Hockey League. And there are some teams that are kind of doing the same, that also restocked the shelves and some contenders that are made themselves just that much better over the last week. Really nothing going on today, trade deadline-wise. Right before the deadline, it was pretty quiet. Only 4 moves made, and nothing really jumps out at you with any major moves, but everything else is pretty much taken care of over the last 10 days or so. But teams, looking at some of the winners and some teams in the mix, and you go jump right to the Eastern Conference where Hamilton and Kingston kind of try to one-up each other with every move made over the last couple of days. And they're going to slug it out right down to the final days of the regular season for the top spot in the East and into the postseason. But Hamilton, here's just a list of what they've acquired this season for what they're going to ramp up and go out and do. But Nicholas Mattinen, a late deal last night, defenseman coming from the Flint Firebirds. He had that shootout winner against Erie just this past Saturday. Also adding in Robert Thomas, St. Louis Blues first-round pick from the London Knights, coming off a gold medal as well with Team Canada. They added Riley Stillman as well on the back end from Oshawa, a Florida Panthers pick. Also getting Nick Camano and Ryan Moore from the Flint Firebirds as well. They've been pretty good trade partners over the last couple of years. But Moore and Camano go in and already joined Will Bitton, former Flint Firebird as well. And not to mention Entwistle, and don't forget Matthew Strome, who's also part of that group. So they're pretty deep over in Hamilton, and I think they're my team to beat in the Eastern Conference. And I look at what they've added and what they've already had. I think they're the better squad there. But over in Kingston, doing something similar, you added an older defenseman in Mitch Byrne just yesterday, and also picking up, and maybe they had probably the bigger splash when you look at the names they acquired. But Max Jones comes in, Cliff Pooh comes in from London also, and then a big deal on New Year's Day with Sean Day and Gabe Velarde coming from the Windsor Spitfires. Gabe Velarde, probably the best piece in my mind acquired by anybody during the trade deadline. He was dominant in the MasterCard Memorial Cup last year for the Windsor Spitfires in his draft years. A 17-year-old, the kid is a beast from the dots and down low, so that's probably the best centerman that's went. And also Matthew Hotchkiss picked up back in November by Kingston, former first-round pick of the Guelph Storm that never really found his way in Guelph, and getting a second chance with the Kingston Frontenacs. Over in the Western Conference, Kitchener Rangers, they got to kind of keep up with the Joneses as well. And they made a couple of moves in maybe not the flash that Hamilton and Kingston went out and got, or Sault Ste. Marie for that matter, but they made their team that much more difficult to play against. Logan Brown coming in, another big centerman from the Windsor Spitfires. He comes in along with Austin McEnany. Giovanni Smith from Guelph comes over as well for a couple second-round picks. Don't forget they traded for Cole Sherwood back in October, so a couple big deals done early, and also Logan Stanley, another Windsor Spitfire, and that deal in August before the season started. But the goaltending situation, that I'm not too sure of with Kitchener. Mario Kalina comes in, an overager from Sudbury. He was the backup to DiPietro last couple of seasons in Windsor. I mean, they're going to run with Luke Richardson. They released a couple of goaltenders yesterday just to get under the 3.08 mark. But that, if it's anything, I don't know if goaltending is as shored up for the Kitchener Rangers going forward in the playoffs as well. Another team that kind of puzzled me as we look at some of the, I guess you could say, trade deadline losers. Sarnia, you add Michael Pizzetta. That's a tough and rough guy from Sudbury. Not going to give you that, I don't believe, that secondary scoring that you really need. That's going to keep you up with the Sioux Greyhounds. And Jonathan Ang, a good piece. It's a good speedster up front. That'll help. A nice compliment to Jordan Kyrou when you get him back as well from Team Canada with the World Junior Championship ending just last week. And also picking up Cam Deneen, and that was a fleecing of a deal by the North Bay Battalion. Good to them, because they got all sorts of picks. What is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 picks plus a player as well, just to get in Cam Deneen, the puck mover from North Bay, the blue liner. It still doesn't stack up to what Sault Ste. Marie had before they made the trades. And I think the Sioux, you didn't have to go out and do too much. You added 2 big pieces that really shored things up for you and added to your depth, Jordan Sandbrook and Taylor Radish. Barrie, another team that you thought they were loading up for it and going to compete in the Eastern Conference. Ever since that Luchuk deal, didn't make much. They made a small move today, getting in Dmitry Sokolov from the Sudbury Wolves, but you shipped out Alexei Lipinov. So you traded a Russian forward for a Russian forward. Maybe get some more goal scoring in Sokolov, but Barrie, you kind of fell behind with what everybody else in the Eastern Conference was doing. And if you were a team restocking the shelf, it was a good year for Erie. Did what they did, bringing in 12 picks, 14 with some conditions. London getting in Connor McMichael, a first-rounder of Hamilton, Sergei Popov, Nathan Dunkley from Kingston, plus 18 picks their way. Windsor does the same. They get a couple of first-rounders, and Grayson Ladd and Cody Morgan, and then also add 21 picks that could be coming the way in total with some conditions, 13 for sure. So the Western Conference, the Midwest Division, especially with London Erie, they're going to be set moving forward into the future. We're going to wrap things up, though. I want to thank Nick Ritson back in studio for us. I'm Aaron Cooney saying until the next 2 weeks, the Otters will be on the road tomorrow in Niagara. You had that game for you right here in your home for Otters hockey. Then home Saturday and Sunday. Our next Otters Hour show will be in 2 weeks on January the 24th. But we're saying so long and good day for today. You've been listening to the Erie Otters Radio Network on CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
You've been listening to the Otters Hour, an inside look at your Erie Otters and the Ontario Hockey League. This is WRIE Erie, CBS Sports Radio 96.3 and 1260.
This is Jim Rome with the CBS Sports Minute. So after all these years, John Gruden finally says yes to Mark Davis. Question is, why now? Gruden says, quote,